Morning everyone, in from DIY Home and Gardening in the greenhouse today, as it's a little bit nippy outside, certainly too cold for what I'm going to be tackling today, which is repotting these old orchids that belong to my mum. So let's turn the camera around, have a little look. So these are Phalaenopsis orchids, and amazingly my mum has managed to keep them alive for 15 years. And I know, well, the reason I know it's 15 years is because they actually are table plants when I got married, and they were gifted to varying relatives. And my mum ended up with a fair few of them. So considering she's pretty poor with most living things or most plants, she's done very well. But as you can see, they are in a bit of a sorry condition and in desperate need now of being tidied up and repotted. So let's have a look as to what the product is we need. So for planting and potting up orchids, in particular the Phalaenopsis orchids, you don't use a normal multi-purpose type compost. Instead, what you use is a specific orchid compost. Now this one's made by Westland, as you can see. Potting mix, which is enriched with Ceramis. Now Ceramis essentially is just these sort of clay particles. It goes by a lot of other names like hydroleaky, which is quite often seen as sort of a marble size clay particle, and all that does is that helps to retain moisture and also acts as drainage. And essentially this mix here is going to be either a bark or a coir chip, and that's all it is. It's just there to retain the moisture around this root. And the reason being is that actually this type of orchid is what's called an epiphyte. So it is a tree dwelling plant, naturally would sit within, you know, the canopy. So we'll look at this. It'd naturally be growing in a canopy of a tree. Within that little groove there, it would pop itself out. And then these adventitious roots, well, they would then be sprawling out into the atmosphere, much like they're doing here because of neglect more than anything, but they'd be out into the air trying to draw out the moisture that is within the atmosphere, and that is how they gain their water and their moisture. So in terms of potting, use this mix, which is really an anchoring point and to provide the moisture around the root. And because again they're living naturally within a tree canopy with the roots exposed to light, that is why you use these clear pots for planting up your Phalaenopsis orchids. And they're clear so that again the roots have access to the natural light that is sort of all around them. Now where most people then counter that as a house plant, they come in these nice clear pots. No one likes them in a clear pot because they don't want to see the roots, so they then stick a pot cover, as in a normal dark pot, around that to make it look prettier. The roots in turn then can't get any light, so they then pop up above the pot itself and start venturing out into the wider world anyway. So it's a little bit counterproductive, but nonetheless, here we are. Time to pot these on. There isn't an easy way to do this. You just need to start by making a bit of space. I would clear off a few of these and then have a look. Right, so no easy way to do this. All we'll do, just start by getting the compost out. Pick the whole lot out. No point messing around. Rid of that. Now you can see the nice open structure of that, plenty of moisture, And I'll start with this one because it's quite frankly the weediest looking one. Now it won't matter because it's, as I say, because it's not a proper compost. It won't matter if you're mixing old and new. What we do need to make sure though is that any old bits of root and whatnot we need to put on one side. So I'll just use an empty pot for that. You're going to have to get some of these old bits of root off so you can get it out of the pot itself. And give it a yank out. So this is the pot we're going to retain. So remove those bits. Doesn't matter about mixing up. As you can see, the old stuff is exactly the same as the new stuff, just a little bit drier. So give it a good old shake off there, and you can quite easily see now the old root that's all dead and of no value, and then this lovely grey-green root that is good. You can also see these old flowering stems. So let's use a clean sharp pair of secateurs. We'll remove any old flowering stems, get them in nice and tight. You can see that this is a new flowering stem, albeit it's been damaged or broken. So we'll keep that on for the time being, and really just work your way through to remove as much of this old dead matter as you can do. And there isn't really an easy way to do it. You just kind of got to get in there and do it. Now I say that the easy way on this is because you can see the bottom section is pretty much all dead. Make the snip through there, and then I'll try and tease it apart. There we are. So that's that mess. That would be the old original root, all rubbish. That there is pretty much all intact, barring that piece, so we can remove that. And although it looks brownish at the base, you can see that it's dying at the top, so we'll take that off. That's gone. And this one also. Oh, it doesn't want to go in there. So we're left with that, which is pretty good, to be honest. So just make sure you chuck away all the old root material, stem material, as you don't want to put that in when you do your replanting and let it decompose. Now just use an old piece of tissue paper. You can use that just to wipe down the leaves, clear off any dust. You can see there's a bit of grime coming off that already. If you got water, you can use that as well. You don't need to use any fancy leaf cleaning, leaf shine stuff. Leaves don't need that, they just want to be kept clean, free of dust. So that is essentially that. If you can get your fingers in to pull off any of these older bits, that's even better. So these older bits here, they're remains of what were the leaves, where they've died off, but that's not totally necessary. So now we got this, we're mixing some of the old with the new. Just pop that to one side. So it's exactly the same. Now with this, what we're going to do, put some into the base just to cover over that very base drainage section, and get your roots. Now this one, just need to angle your roots around a little bit to allow you to sit in lower. Now that piece of root's broken, so we'll snip that because that won't be a lot of use. And likewise, that's got a break in it as well. It has that, so that might also help it to sit lower in the pot, maybe. Right, now the easiest way, you're not going to be able to get all of these roots in, so don't even bother. Now the easiest way, hold it at the top there, put your media in, give it a little shake, shake in a pot or tap, and you will need obviously more compost than what came out because we've cut away so much root matter. Just give it a little tamper. And that is the first of the orchids potted. And that was really quite simple, wasn't it? So yeah, just going to go through, repeat the process, and see you shortly. I just thought I'd show you this while I'm on this orchid. Can you see that disc shape there and there, and also down the vein? So that is actually called a scale insect, and is really difficult to remove by way of chemicals, and on houseplants you don't really want to be using chemicals. But once again, just use your cloth and you can wipe that straight off. So if he hasn't dropped the cloth, that is. So they just come off, and oh, and that's essentially what it squashes to. So that is a hardened shell on the outside, and then they suck the sap of the leaf from the little mouth parts that are hidden beneath that shell. So just make sure you can remove those as you go. There we are, and that's the fourth one done. Looks so much better. I mean, could whip off these old flowers, but got to give my mum something to do. There we are. 4 all repotted in, well, not much longer than the length of this video. And it really is that simple. So as I say, it really is that simple to repot a Phalaenopsis orchid, or indeed any orchids. But if you've got any questions, then please send them over to me. I'll do my very best to answer them for you. If you do like what I'm doing, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on future videos I'm doing. And I always say it, but it's so true. Enjoy what you're doing, have fun, and well, when the weather's like this, now it's improved, get outside, enjoy yourself and unwind. Till next time, bye for now.